Hey, welcome everybody to this edition of the SmartCom Summit, CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. And we're doing a panel discussion today about ACS, which is the Microsoft version of CPaaS. And we'll talk a little bit about what that is with some of the guests here today. We have Roy Dehing from Microsoft, we have Gidi Adlersberg from AudioCodes, and Charlie Doubek from NTT Global. So welcome, gentlemen. Excited to have you here in this session.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, likewise.
Roy, I'm going to start with you because you're the principal partner program manager at Microsoft for ACS.
Yep.
And can you do a quick introduction of yourself, but also talk a little bit about ACS, what it is, and why Microsoft is going into this CPaaS space?
Yes, of course. So quick intro from my side. So my name is Roy. I'm one of the partner program managers focusing on Azure Communication Services with a primary focus on three different kinds of partners. So on one hand, I'm focusing on operators, second on ISVs and specific contact center ISVs, and then MVNOs, mobile virtual network operators, because in my opinion, those are fueling each other, and they will be, let's say, the key partners for me in the new battleground called CX. And what we try to do with, let's say, Azure Communication Services at Microsoft as a CPaaS, we would like to address all kinds of hero scenarios in the CX space. Because if you look to Gartner and Forrester, you see that CX is the new battleground. And for me, CX is kind of any machine-to-machine or machine-to-human or human-to-human communication. And actually where machine is IoT. And guess what? In the IoT, I need connectivity. I need IoT, I need SIM cards. So therefore operators and MVNOs. And if it comes to, let's say, human or the interaction between machine and human, I need ISVs to build this kind of hero scenarios. And today, let's say, supported by those two partners that actually touches on all those kind of hero scenarios.
Great. Well, that sounds easy enough. Yeah, Gidi, question for you also. Quick introduction of yourself, and why did you start working with ACS?
Sure, Rob. Thank you for the question. So, Gidi Adlersberg, I manage the VOCA solution at the AudioCodes headquarters. ACS for us is actually, I would say, an enabler of what we're looking to do when it comes to, let's say, in the broad sense of things, adding modern CX experience on top of Microsoft Teams. You know, for the people who know AudioCodes a bit, they know that our main effort, our big fish in AudioCodes, so to speak, is helping, you know, companies out there migrate their telephony from, you know, legacy phone systems over to Microsoft Teams. And we are here with the VOCA solution looking to add CX capabilities on top of Microsoft Teams. And ACS helps us a lot achieving that, especially when it comes to the very robust, very kind of tight interoperability that it allows, you know, between our application to the agent that is residing on Microsoft Teams.
Right. So really the combination or the migration, I hear you say, from old legacy and modern tools to let's say fancy customer experience, all the things that we need today.
Yeah, I would say, you know, for some businesses, the native functionality on Teams, when it comes to like Teams auto attendance, Teams call queues, do a good job. But for many of the companies out there, it's not typically might not be enough. And all we're looking to do is just help our customers kind of complete that missing feature set so they can, you know, start delivering modern customer experience off of their existing Teams voice infrastructure. And ACS helps us a lot achieving that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gidi. And then Charlie, how is that for you?
I think for the most part, here at NTT, we just signed a 4-year new agreement with Microsoft where we'll be really leading with professional services and managed services to convert client environments to more cloud-friendly environments in the future, with Teams as the main kind of hero platform that we'll be using. And what's become apparent to us is that customers are looking for programmable communications. And to do that, to offer it as a service, but also to make sure that it's integrated with something like Microsoft Teams. And so ACS, a partnership with Microsoft, started off very early in its development. And really, what it means to us is that customers need programmable communications for their apps. We need programmable communications for our apps. But when it comes to client experience, it's very important to understand what the employee is using. And in most part, the employee is going to be using Microsoft Teams. So connecting that to client experience with programmable communications is exactly what we needed from Microsoft, and it's what ACS is delivering.
Right. You have a bit of a history at NTT, I think, right? You go back also a long way with all sorts of traditional on-prem solutions. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that's important for your selection of ACS?
Yeah, absolutely. So NTT Limited, or the international division of NTT, or NTT Data Incorporated, is built up of a number of companies. Some are cloud, some have a history of system integration, some have a history of communication. And in those environments, there's multiple customers that have on-prem technology. I look after the collaboration strategy for the future. And one of the things we had to do is build managed services that can facilitate the transition of the on-prem to the cloud. And to do that, you have to be able to provide solutions that are flexible, born in the cloud. And really, Teams was the major instigator in transforming a lot of these clients into more cloud-friendly solutions. And we needed something that connected that to that experience, because on-prem contact centers, for example, have very limited connectivity and functionality into the cloud solutions that consumers are using. So something like ACS, having capability with messaging, basic complex call flows and AI really helps us to offer a wide variety of solutions for different verticals.
Right. Thanks, gentlemen, for this introduction. I want to take one step back really quickly and talk a little bit about CPaaS and the definition of CPaaS. It is an interesting question, I find, because one of the problems with the word CPaaS is that it means so many things to different people, right? And it's a hype, it's a buzzword, everybody talks about it. So I want to just go around the table real quick and ask you what you think CPaaS is, or what it means, or what it should mean. Roy, can I start with you?
Yes, in the thinking of Microsoft is a kind of CPaaS stands, of course, as a communication platform as a service. But we have two motions at Microsoft. So on one hand, I would like to build with my partners hero scenarios that are fronting the traditional UCaaS and CCaaS solutions. And guess what? Those solutions are built on top of CPaaS. Yes. So in this case, I would like to, let's say, position Microsoft really as a kind of a hyperscaler CPaaS that brings more ingredients than only the real-time communications or the traditional. And because I said to you, look at machine, and we actually have all the ingredients to become that cupcake in the CX battleground. And what I mean with CX and machine is that we have Azure Percept, we've got Azure IoT, we've got Azure IoT Hub to bring in the machine story. And then second, if it comes to human, we have all kinds of SaaS applications at Microsoft. And of course, we touched already on it. One of the biggest one is Teams. And if you would like to build a hero scenario fronting the UCaaS or CCaaS, in this case, UCaaS fronting Teams, but it should not only be limited to Teams, because we also have LinkedIn. We've got also have Xbox. We also have, let's say, the Meta, if it comes to a, let's say, virtual reality or, let's say, augmented reality to bring that in. And then with our partnership with operators like NTT or other operators, we also bring that connectivity because we've got Azure for Operators, where you find the IoT, but you find also the connectivity offerings from Microsoft. So I would like to position, let's say, in the vision of Microsoft, CPaaS as a CPaaS hyperscaler with all the ingredients for partners like NTT and AudioCodes to build those hero scenarios.
Great. But for a lot of people, when you talk about CPaaS, they think of messaging, right? And then maybe omni-channel messaging as very advanced.
Yes.
I take it that's also included in ACS, but you have so much more from what I hear from you. And what I like is you're sort of giving all the, let's say, the tools of Microsoft, of the whole Microsoft stack. You're sort of making that at the platform for these integrators and software developers to build on top of.
Yes. So, and maybe I should apologize also to say CPaaS, is focusing on the real-time communication, in this case, the traditional chat, the voice, video. But I think we also talk about innovation, and innovation is more than only chat and only more than the traditional voice. So AI as an integration as well. But of course, let's say our CPaaS platform embraces voice, video, chat, email as well, but also bringing the IoT that I touched on before.
Great, Gidi. For you, the same question. When you hear CPaaS, what do you think of? What is the definition, or what should that definition be in today's world?
Right. I mean, indeed, CPaaS can mean a whole bunch of things for any type of listener here. You know, as AudioCodes, when we hear CPaaS, immediately we think about voice, right? With all of our experience in voice. But really, I would say when I look at Azure Communication Services, and let's call it a specific flavor of CPaaS. For us, it's just that great modern, I would say, highway in the road for a better experience. Now, a customer experience, of course. Now, when I say customer experience, that includes all the different modalities. Yes, omnichannel is growing, and we do see, digital channels continue to rise, as time goes by. But still, voice remains the most fundamental, the way that we like to say, the most fundamental form of human communication. And people want to talk most of the time when it comes to a service experience. These days with AI and everything that Microsoft does with OpenAI and so on, this brings the conversational capabilities also to human to machine communication, like Roy said. So for us, when we look at the CPaaS from the Azure Communication Services perspective, it's really about the fact that this kind of CPaaS is residing as part of the overall Microsoft ecosystem. So this means that we are just a step away from using things like OpenAI, from things like Azure Cognitive Services, from things like Teams Interop. So yes, I understand that CPaaS traditionally is about messaging and these kind of, more traditional experiences. But I guess my point is that a CPaaS like ACS is kind of that modern CPaaS that really gives you quick access to all those new tools that allow you to enhance your deliverable experience, let's call it. So, yeah.
Right. Charlie, you just mentioned that you signed a long-term agreement with Microsoft to build the hero scenarios, the use cases on top of ACS. Why did you select Microsoft as a partner for this, with so many other CPaaS flavors out there? What was the big thing that drew you to Microsoft here?
I think for the most part, if you think about CPaaS for me, it's what does it mean to our clients, right? And after the pandemic, we had many clients on Microsoft Teams using that day to day, and it was very easy to convince those users to convert your usage into phone usage as well, and integrate the PBX or the team portions for voice and service numbers. And when you look at something like CPaaS for a client, if you're looking to improve your customer communication, you need to be able to talk to employees. So whether you're building an app or you're talking to a bot, you need to escalate that into a service number. And some of our first deployments of ACS were service numbers, basically leveraging the infrastructure we built with Microsoft to connect a user that's interacting with a bot or a website or a mobile app, and then speaking to an agent that may be at home or in the office. When it comes to the future and where we're going with things like OpenAI and Autopilot and other parts of the Microsoft ecosystem, and also our partners' ecosystems, sometimes you might be speaking to different types of machines. So it could be machine to human, machine to machine, but it might be different types of AI that might be in those conversations as well. And something like ACS allows us to not only connect those dots with both our Microsoft ecosystem and outside of that, but also to create some solutions for our clients that can be verticalized, such as banking solutions and manufacturing solutions. So far, really most of the inquiries we've gotten so far were around finance and manufacturing and retail that need kind of built-in solutions that will incorporate Microsoft technologies. So Microsoft really made it very easy for us to reach out to our employees and also internally, but externally, and build solutions on top of that.
That's great. I hear you say two things that are really that trigger me. One is, let's say, the team's ecosystem and the employee experience, because traditionally CPaaS has been a lot about the customer experience, so sort of the communication with the outside world, and now we're looking more at the inside the organization, flexibility and improvements, which I think is really interesting to see these two worlds coming together. And then the other thing you mentioned was the verticalization, so specific use cases in verticals that get developed. I think that's very important as we move along on this path of innovation in communication, right? It needs to be much more tailored to specific situations. And I like how the inside world and the outside world of the organization comes together there. So can you give one or two really cool use cases that you're working on right now, or where you find that your customers are asking you to really innovate and that you're using the ACS for?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that Gidi touched on as well is that some functionality that customers are looking for within Teams today doesn't exactly match what was being used with an on-prem PBX or on-prem contact center. And really, customers just want to use the tools, and they want every use case to be handled. And it's very difficult for Microsoft to make a one-size-fits-all for every single use case. And there's some legacy solutions like attendee consoles and things like that, or receptionist consoles, that were part of an old PBX that you need to integrate with Teams going forward to really truly migrate to the cloud. And some of the use cases we worked on initially were using ACS to create different types of workflows for our customers and building some of our own receptionist consoles within ACS. The second use case that we really worked on was about dispatch and manufacturing, and how you can use IoT and connect bots with ACS so that the customer experience could be, I'm sitting in Teams, an AI-based type bot has escalated a situation to me. My contact center is ringing, and I can pick it up in Teams. Whereas also for an IoT, for example, if a sensor goes off and a call is placed into a contact center, that can also ring directly into Teams using service numbers. So really, finance and manufacturing were the first couple of instances where we received this, but now we're starting to get the same type of use cases for retail, and even looking into healthcare as well, where customers are having their own apps for nursing stations and things like that, where you need to trigger calls into a contact center. So I think that's just the beginning, but that's really, led to a lot of these on-prem migrations that we've discussed earlier. That's really drove us there.
Cool, really cool. Gidi, same question for you. And also, you mentioned that you're traditionally very strong in voice. That's how we know AudioCodes, have known AudioCodes for a long time. Some of the great use cases and opportunities that you see.
Sure, Rob. So I actually want to connect to a kind of a notion that you brought up, which is, how EX, employee experience, enters the game of let's call it in general, communication experience, modern communication experience. This is actually a trend that we're observing a lot recently in the industry. And this goes back again to the Teams interop perspective and how ACS enables us that modern tight window into Teams. Essentially, to put it in simple words, when you have a customer experience solution that leverages and rides Teams, essentially what it means is that every Teams user now becomes a potential agent. And this opens up a whole world of possibilities. And we're seeing that, in our deployment. So just to give you an example, we see, of course, I leave the main service desk aside because there it's clear what these kind of solutions can do for a main service desk. But think about the sales team, okay? So traditionally, in many companies, sales are, receiving calls from their network. Maybe the calls are even arriving to their private mobile number. When you have a solution that that is so tightly connected to Teams, all of a sudden the company leadership can get reporting on what's going on in the sales department. Who is calling the sales department? What is the trend of customer conversations? Do we have more conversations this month this month or less conversations, okay? These are, it may sound like a very basic example, but actually it's something that most sales departments out there just do not have. Now, when you think about other internal business lines, other than sales, like HR and IT help desk, and even think about a security team of a company, or think about the global travel desk of a company. These are all users that get a lot of calls, or I should say a lot of interactions during the day. In that sense, they are also providing service. So again, ACS, with the tight interoperability to Microsoft Teams, it enables us to bring those modern customer experience capabilities to the employee experience world and empower those internal business lines to provide modern service as well.
Yeah, I like this thinking. We did recently. We did also a panel's discussion about contact centers, and we talked there also about how a contact center is, in many cases, unless you're talking about the really big organizations, it's not a center anymore. It's just a function of the team, of everybody. So exactly. these lines are completely blurring. So. This all sounds very exciting, and there's a lot of innovation happening. And clearly, we have the ISVs and the system integrators that are putting things together. But I imagine it's very important that the right tools are made available. And this is, I think, an interaction between Microsoft and the partners. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that, how that works in practice. Because I imagine, Roy, first question for you first. How does that work? How do you support these companies and other partners in building these solutions and developing the technology internally at the same time? How does it work?
So how it works? So my specific role is to make sure to find that early engagements and to listen to them and to listen to the market demand, but also listen to our partners. And based on the learnings that we took from our partners as well as from our customers, we need to come up with a kind of new product portfolio or product roadmap. And I think that is, giving us good momentum, and it keeps us also sharp. What I mean by that is to say, listen, we have a lot of, let's say, big players out there. Look at our competitor landscape as well. But it all comes back to having the right ingredients. Yes, that I told you. If you don't have the right ingredients to become that cupcake, then they will go to the left or to the right. And so therefore we sit close in an early stage already with those partners, listen to them, listen also to customers, not only to partners. And then based on that, we will define our product strategy and we build our product roadmap.
Right, but that's the two sides always to the cupcake, right? You also need somebody to be out there in the market and asking you for certain ingredients. How does that work in practice, Charlie?
I think one of the advantages we have at NTT is scale, right? We have people in multiple markets, and so we tend to identify opportunities a lot earlier. And I think one of the things that's been really great with our working relationship at Microsoft is we can identify an opportunity, work with someone like Roy, actually produce something even before it's entirely publicly available, and then actually figure out exactly what the benefits are and make sure by the time it launches that the partner understands it and that the partner can help Microsoft take it to market. And I think ACS is a great example where we have a customer that we recently deployed that Roy and I had been talking to for the past, I think, Roy, 7 months, something like that. And we were able to build a solution, make it available, test it, deploy it with Microsoft engineering. And now that ACS is becoming a lot more well known, we can actually have real life examples of how it's helped organizations migrate to the cloud, but not only that, improve their customer experience and not just migrate it, right, but make it better. And I think one of the things that gets overseen sometimes is that the improved analytics of having solutions integrated and not having a Frankenstein kind of on-prem mixed with cloud, solution, having everything, going directly into Power BI dashboards and sustainability reports and things like that, which are crucial for the future. So really, it's the tight partnership that we get, especially with people like Roy, that really help us, be at the cutting edge with Microsoft and our customers.
Great. Great. And Gidi, you just touched on, you mentioned cognitive services as one of the components, and I think somewhere I mentioned ChatGPT earlier in this call. I mean, no panel session is complete without talking about GPT-4 these days. It's really pretty amazing, I think, the way AI, even though it's been around for a while, but it's finally becoming, or it's really becoming mainstream, and is getting integrated everywhere. So when you think about customer experience, but also employee experience, how do you see, where do you see this going with things like AI and ChatGPT and the relationship with Microsoft there as well?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, Rob. I'll tell you this, actually in AudioCodes, we've been dealing with conversational AI for quite some time, for many years now. And, we have accumulated a lot of expertise around it, but it's funny how only recently, with ChatGPT and everything that's going on around that, people really feel the power of being able to interact with the machine using a natural language. And namely, I think the real power of it is in how it's able to kind of tap onto multiple data sets that, in the pre-ChatGPT world were all kind of a bit acting like silos. So for me, I believe that the real power of ChatGPT and bringing ChatGPT-like technology to the customer experience space is in how you will be able to provide intelligent answers that actually gather insights from multiple sources of data. Okay, so think about a simple question. Let's say a customer is asking us, when is this and that feature going to be available? To provide a really good answer, you need your bot to be connected to multiple data sets and not just to one data set. And the power of things like ChatGPT is how it's able to just give provide an intelligent answer that's aggregating data from these multiple data sets. So things like just be able to provide answers. I mean, the way that I see it, every organization sooner or later is going to have their own kind of ChatGPT that's going to give answers about everything from products through staff, and also maybe how many vacation days I have left in my balance, and everything I need to know about my company will be there. And I believe this can make all the difference. Of course, when we talk about customer experience, it's all about providing quick service. So something like ChatGPT and large language models can help a lot in just helping the customer get a quick but yet intelligent answer.
Yeah. Roy, how do you see that it's just a part of everything that's available in the Microsoft portfolio, I would say, but it seems to be pretty important, right? There's a lot of emphasis on this whole AI part. How do you see this developing into the world of real-time communications further?
Yeah, as we said from the beginning, I see Azure Communication Services as the glue of any kinds of communication in the CX, coming back again to machine to machine, machine to human, human to human communication. But what I see is that with our CPaaS platform, we will use AI to make sure that we have let's say, kind of a traffic coordinator, or let's say somebody that is, let's say, doing all the kinds of routings decisions to make not only the employee, but also the citizen/customer much more happier. And it makes their life much easier, I would say. But I see that, I think ChatGPT becomes a very important, let's say, part as an ingredient of that cupcake. And I will also position AI in the center next to the CPaaS. So if you have a great AI or great AI connectors next to your great CPaaS platform, and you have all the kinds of ingredients to fulfill those hero scenarios, I think, man, it's not a cupcake, it's becoming a kind of a wedding cake, in my opinion.
Charlie, are your customers asking for wedding cakes yet?
I think what excites me about this whole ChatGPT and some of the new stuff that Microsoft's coming out regarding not just conversational AI but content generation is the real power of M365 is really applying your security policies and all the different profiles that you have across the stack to make any of this new technology compliant for any type of employee. So for example, you look at the launch of Copilot, and you can see that employees might be using that technology to create customer-facing collateral, for example, who are agents who also want to talk to customers. And to actually do that in a secure way, you might need to add compliant call recording. You might need to add different types of technology. And I think with the launch of Copilot and also the announcement that ChatGPT will be part of cognitive services means that I can take the policies within M365 and apply them to technology like that. Because the biggest concern about the wedding cake, for example, is my information secure? Am I protected? Am I applying the same policies and protection that I need in my local countries and global countries or global positioning? So I think that's really important to stress, is that what we're doing with Microsoft as a partner is making sure that we're following that roadmap and innovating with that roadmap in mind, and not creating things out of the box that can knock you right out of compliance.
Right. It seems like there's plenty to do the next couple of weeks or months even, with all this new technology. I'm really excited about it. We're running out of time. I want to end with a quick question. What's on your horizon for the next couple of weeks or months as we go into, or we almost reach the end of March? Roy, you want to go first? What's on the calendar for the next couple of weeks? Anything exciting planned?
Nothing exciting plans, but some great announcements coming up. So especially this week for Enterprise Connect, and as well for Build moving forward. So I keep the teaser ready. We have some great products coming to GA. And so I would say watch the socials, watch my LinkedIn posts, let's say watch AudioCodes posts, watch Charlie's posts with regards to, let's say, all kinds of cool things that are driven out of Azure Communication Services with those great partners.
Sounds cool. I will look at it. Gidi, anything exciting for the next couple of weeks on your side?
Yeah, sure, Rob, you bet. So first of all, in the product front, you will see some very exciting announcements from us coming soon, connecting to many things that we've talked about here. So pretty excited about that. You will see those announcements coming from us in the next in the near future, I would say. And then in terms of events, of course, you will see us in Enterprise Connect. You will see us at ComsV Next and other large events, industry events. So looking forward to see everybody there and have good chats and talk about what's coming up.
Great, thank you, Gidi. Charlie, same question for you. What's exciting in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so really digital workplace services is a big topic here at NTT, and I'm actually at the ISG conference this week, and basically we have an announcement that we're expanding our cloud voice offerings, which impacts ACS to the mobile with some eSIM offers and expanded country coverage. We're also launching our brand new employee experience platform, which has automation for managing users and tickets, which is becoming quite popular. So there's a lot of client conversations and client meetings happening around those products, going forward. And also, as the market's changing more and more, you'll see some great announcements from us as a company of how we're meeting those needs with private 5G and increased security focus.
Sounds exciting. Great. Well, I look forward to meeting all of you, or at least people from your organizations, next week at Enterprise Connect, because we'll be there as well. I'm sure there will be more announcements that week. I think it's very interesting times. Thank you so much for being on this panel with me here today, and I look forward to following up and catching up soon later.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.